those who will group, there will be a send-off package.
Rewarding corruption, a golden handshake for officers who fail in the vetting process.
You are part of the problem, you cannot be part of the solution.
We will give the people of Bondo, who have never had title deeds since independence, they will get title deeds.
Why title deeds issued at the coast are now generating intense heat.
Turkana and Pokot elders now step in to end 5-day siege by bandits.
Also coming up, Uasin Gishu Deputy Governor unrepentant over his eviction of British envoys.
This is KTN Prime with Linda Ogutu and Ben Katili.
To you, it is the 25th day of November 2013. You're in time for KTN Prime. Many thanks for joining us tonight. We will look at that story that we have been following up for you from Turkana and give you the latest update from that end.
Indeed. Welcome to KTN Prime. Now, the government has given an assurance that police officers who do not meet the criteria after the vetting of police officers will receive a send-off package.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Olelenku says he will seek approval from the Cabinet to fund the exit package for police officers.
The vetting process, which will kick off mid-next month, was launched today with assurances that the exercise will be fair and transparent. KTN's Rita Tinina starts our coverage tonight.
With resistance from some senior police officers having delayed the start of the police vetting exercise for months, the National Police Service Commission took yet another step towards the vetting of police officers with the launch of the vetting process.
We are going to conduct this process in a fair, transparent, and courteous manner, follow due process and ensure that the process is objective, transparent, and fair to all officers.
The National Police Service Commission will be looking for competency and suitability of police officers to continue serving in the force. And while those who will not meet the criteria will have a right to ask for a review, those who choose to take the Commission's verdict as final will not leave empty-handed.
For those who will group, there will be a send-off package. I will be briefing my cabinet colleagues on the process and requesting for funding that is necessary for vetting exercise and send-off package for those officers that will not meet the necessary threshold.
First to be vetted in the exercise that will kick off on the 17th of December will be 31 officers holding the rank of Deputy Commissioner of Police.
But will also give confidence to officers of lower ranks who look upon them for direction and leadership.
The National Police Service Commission will get information from, among others, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the NSIS, and the Independent Police Oversight Authority, and has also requested members of the public to volunteer any information that may help in determining the suitability of officers.
The panelists will be able to distinguish between a vendetta and fact when we are doing this vetting process. Nor will it be a whitewashing exercise intended to pacify public expectations.
Assurances of a fair and transparent vetting exercise are perhaps an indicator of just how sensitive the process will be. But it will no doubt set a precedent for a force that has been battling an image crisis for years. Rita Tinina, KTN.
The Big Q in association with Kenya Power.
The police service on the spot yet again, and that story by Rita leads us to a big question tonight, and we are asking you, should police officers found unfit to serve receive a send-off package?
That vetting process will begin mid-next month. Let us know what you think, whether or not police officers found unfit to serve should receive a send-off package. You can tweet us at KTN Kenya, at Ben Kitili, at Linda Ogutu. You can also send a short message to the number 22155. We will be able to sample some of your views during this newscast.
Get power information right at your fingertips. Dial *551#. Kenya Power.
Moving on, barely a day after former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and Senator James Orengo rubbished the Jubilee government's issuance of 60,000 title deeds to coast residents, the ruling party has come out fighting. In a media briefing within Parliament's precincts, Jubilee legislators took issue with court's political antics and questioned the latter's track record when in government while defending their policies. KTN's Fredo Mulo brings us the details.
Hiyo ni haki yake. Lakini ile dhuluma kwanza ile ya Marabu mbali nyakua title deed iko na wakili yake, wewe unaishi pale unalima, lakini kijaribu kuguza tu mnazi namna hii tayari wakili amefika.
It was this statement that the former premier made while campaigning in the coast last weekend that ignited Jubilee's rage. Majority Leader Eden Duale led his party's legislators in defending the Kenyatta administration's policies.
And we are asking the former Prime Minister that he had an opportunity as a co-principal, and Honorable James Orengo had an opportunity last 5 years to issue title deeds, and they could not do it.
Former Lands Minister James Orengo, who was with Raila and expressed his skepticism, was also in the firing line.
Na ni kweli kwamba kupata title deed ni haki yako, lakini imepatikana kwamba zile title deed ambao zilikuja Pwani, ukienda kwa zile ofisi za land ukifanya search huwezi kupata chochote.
60,000 residents of Coast got their title deeds. Many of them have already used those title deeds. So they do know that they are not illegal. So please, in the attempt to remain relevant, don't take Kenyans for fools.
Jubilee is now threatening to distribute the precious documents in Raila and Orengo's home county in Siaya to prove that their move at the coast was not merely a ploy.
And we want to put them on notice that the next place the Jubilee government is going to issue title deeds in a month's time is Nyanza province. We are going to Nyanza province, we will go to Siaya, we will go to Bondo, and we will give the people of Bondo, who have never had title deeds since independence, they will get title deeds.
Predictably, court reacted before the day was even over.
And here we are saying that really, as much as possible, we should adhere to the requirements of the Constitution at every point in all our actions.
The government has been mulling replication of the title deed distribution process in other parts of the country, but there is no concrete indication of when or where this will take place. For KTN Prime, I am Fredo Mulo.
Let's now take you all the way to Turkana, and the government has deployed extra security personnel to troubled villages in Turkana, even as the Interior Ministry denied there was a standoff between militia and security forces. Militiamen are reported to have surrounded 4 villages in the wake of a raging border dispute.
A conflict over where sugar plantation is to be set up was the source of a deadly standoff between communities in 4 villages in Turkana for the past 1 week now. Armed raiders from one of the communities is opposed to plans by the Kerio Valley Development Authority to set up a sugar plantation along the shores of River Takwel. 4 villages have been under siege from the armed militia, with the number running into hundreds according to residents in Turkana. The militia have taken over the villages of Lorogon, Nakwamoru and Kapelibok. The raiders blocked roads by digging trenches, thereby blocking access to the village by government security forces. The nearest security forces have gotten to is Takwel, where there is a permanent GSU outpost. The Interior Ministry says no single village in the expansive county is under siege.
The situation in Turkana and Pokot that has been fairly fluid the last 4 days is under control. We are aware that there are messages indicating that there are some people under siege. And I want to say very clearly that really it was not that as bad.
The Cabinet Secretary downplayed the magnitude of the security situation that has now seen the deployment of more security personnel into the troubled region. Olelenko says the perceived standoff is over.
Because we did not want to use excessive force and in the process cause unnecessary casualties. That is why it has taken a little longer. But I want to confirm that the situation has been brought almost to normalcy.
A peace meeting convened by the local provincial administration brought together the worrying communities as the national government stepped in to end the growing security crisis. There are fears that more than 900 residents might go without water and food if the deadly standoff that has lasted close to 1 week now is not contained. Denison Sarigo, KTN Prime.
We are closely following what is happening in the county of Turkana. We shall be bringing you details.
Indeed, residents there pleading with the government to ensure that the region remains as peaceful as it can be. Now, Uasin Gishu County government says it has no apologies to make over its reported eviction of 3 top British officials from Eldoret town.
The county's deputy governor, Daniel Chemnor, has denied ejecting the officials from the British embassy, saying that the officials themselves called off the meeting after acknowledging they had failed to consult the county government.
Mercy Kandie reports.
Uasin Gishu County was in the spotlight last week after 3 top officials from the British Embassy were flushed out of a hotel in Eldoret town, where they were set to hold a one-day meeting with several civil society organizations from the North Rift region in what the deputy governor termed as violation of diplomatic protocol. And today, at a press briefing in the county offices, Deputy Governor Daniel Chemnor said there was nothing wrong in his actions, refuting claims that he had ejected the officials, saying the British embassy officials cancelled the meeting.
We must also be firm and say this thing is not right. And I'm saying I'm not apologizing for that. What I did was right, to say that those diplomats never followed the right way.
The deputy governor said the meeting was clandestine, arousing suspicions among the local leadership about the British embassy's top officials' tour in the county. Chemnor accused the British government of undermining the county government and not informing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs about their intentions.
And after calling it off, they requested a meeting with me, which I invited them to the office, and they came and we had a discussion with them.
Chemnor added that in case of any security breach, then the county will be liable. Thus, he had to intervene, saying that rumors had circulated within the town that the closed-door meeting was discussing issues to do with the ICC.
I was acting because of the pressure, because the people are inquiring. It was actually brewing some commotion within the public, and that's why I did that. And like any leader, you normally have to, they say prevention is better than cure.
The county received backing from some leaders in the Jubilee government.
If our friends from the British Embassy did not follow the protocol and the Vienna Convention, then whatever happened to them is themselves to blame. And I've never seen where a diplomat turns into a consultant to a facilitator of a workshop.
On Thursday, the British officials said they had attempted to contact the governor over their mission prior to their arrival in Eldoret. However, they were unsuccessful. Chemnor maintains that the incident has not affected the relationship between the county and the British Embassy. The county government says the move is not in any way political. They say they were trying to protect the interest of its people. Mercy Kandie, KTN, Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County.
Away from the North Rift and into the capital, and we're asking you, are there too many representatives in Parliament? Members of the National Assembly claim that the Senate is redundant. On the other hand, senators would prefer that the number of MPs is reduced. This new battle for supremacy is at the center of debate as stakeholders weigh the pros and cons of both legislative houses. KTN's Asha Mwilu reports.
Chairperson of the Constitutional Implementation Commission took to his Facebook page, adding a strong dissenting voice to the renewed supremacy battle between the Senate and the National Assembly. In the page-long piece, Nyachai reprimanded the MPs for plotting to abolish the Senate and constitutional commissions under the guise of taming the wage bill.
This country cannot afford the political structure This country cannot afford 47 governments plus the national one.
Nyachai told of the MPs stating that, quote, those seeking to amend the constitution are those that have persistently stood in the way of its implementation. They seek to fulfill their prophecies that the constitution is unworkable, end of quote. Further, the CIC chair called MPs out on their argument over the wage bill, stating, isn't it ironic that MPs who pursued higher remuneration with vigor and verbal violence should now be expressing concern about the wage bill? In Parliament, Aden Duale, Majority Leader of the National Assembly, downplayed reports of a looming battle between the two houses.
There's no issues between the two houses. These are part of the teething problem.
At the county level, however, the debate is intensifying.
Senate ikae, hata kama kuna senators ambao wamepotea njia, tutanyorosha hao ama tuweke wengine huko. Lakini hakuna mtu atatoa Senate. Kwanza hata bunge ndio imekuwa kubwa sana. Wako wengi sana. 300.
Anybody thinking that you can kill the Senate is telling us you are going to kill devolution.
Wale wote wako pale Nairobi ni wabunge, members of parliament. There are some sitting in a house which has been christened Senate.
In his boldest statement yet, Charles Nyachai expressed his opinion that if Kenya must reduce the number of representatives, then it is the number of members of the National Assembly that should be reduced. Currently, the National Assembly has a total 349 members, including 290 elected MPs, 12 nominated MPs, and 47 elected women representatives. The Senate, on the other hand, has 67 members, 47 elected, and 20 nominated. With Parliament set to go on recess within the next fortnight, the tension continues to mount as Kenyans observe the two houses that are yet to work as one. Asha Mwilu, KTN, Nairobi.
Right, let's now look at statistics on road carnage in the country. When 13 people died over the weekend on Mombasa Road, the total number of people who have died on Kenyan roads this year rose to over 2,800. This number is already higher than that of the people who died in the same period last year. So, who is sleeping on the job and what happened to the famous Mishuki rules? Wilson Buru puts this into perspective.
A total of 2,843 people have died on the roads this year, even before the onset of the festive season. This was an increase of about 700 people of the number who died in 2004 when the famous Michuki rules came into effect and were being strictly followed. So who is to blame for the rising cases of road accidents?
Drivers have been told several times to obey the traffic rules, and they always float the traffic rules.
Drivers.
Why?
We neglect rules.
In their defense to accusations of reckless driving and overloading, drivers have often blamed police officers of extortion, arguing that this leads them to breaking the set road safety regulations. But the traffic department says corruption is two-way and that the drivers are just as responsible for the vice.
And the public is the main contributor to this corruption. These are the people with money. These are the people who are influencing and compromising police. And they are accepting it.
Kimaru says the situation has now changed from when the Michuki rules were introduced, with the culprits on the roads changing tactics in a bid to break traffic rules. Matatu operators are now tampering with the vehicle's wiring systems, which renders the speed governors useless. Kimaru is also blaming the passengers for not ensuring that the set laws are followed.
Initially, the public themselves were accepting that whenever I enter into a vehicle, I must buckle my seatbelt. But also with time, people now, the general public say, no, this is a bit of cumbersome, it is causing us. So they only put when they know they are about to reach where they normally see police or near centers where they suspect they could come across police. So that is the time they buckle.
The grim reality is unless drastic measures are taken to curb the menace on our roads.
We are going to record 3,000 also this year, and even slightly over 3,000.
The rising number of road accidents in the country means that somebody somewhere has slept on their job. And the festive season fast approaching, the traffic department says they are going to be cracking down and ensuring that rules and regulations are followed to the letter. Wilson Buru, KTN, Nairobi.
Grim statistics there on our road as police urge Kenyans to be more careful as we head towards the festive season. Now, conflict is brewing between Mombasa County and her neighbors regarding sharing of water resources.
Mombasa, which is water scarce, has been getting water supply from Kwale, Kilifi and Taita Taveta counties. The three counties now want to be paid for the supply.
However, Mombasa County is not ready to pay. KTN's Sharon Momanyi reports on this standoff that has led to intervention from the Water Resources Management Authority.
For Mombasa, it is a case of too much water, but not a drop to drink. And for the residents, these traders pulling carts with jerry cans full of water are a common sight. And so are long queues at the water selling kiosks.
Na hii maji kwa siku nyingi sasa tumeona ikiwa inatoka mara mbili kwa wiki. Inatoka Jumatatu na inatoka na Ijumaa peke yake. Hizi siku zingine sisi tunatabikia maji.
But the problem threatens to escalate with a row now brewing between water-endowed counties and those without water sources. The water-rich counties say they want local communities to be given priority in the supply of the water, and thereafter, everybody else must then pay for the service. Mombasa, which gets its water from Taita Taveta, Kwale and Kilifi counties, is right in the middle of this row.
The only issue we have with the current arrangement is that water is extracted from Zima and is delivered to Mombasa, while many areas in Taita Taveta County remain dry.
Water Resources Management Authority, WARMA, has maintained that counties cannot charge other counties water fees, stating that water is a national resource.
As a ministry, we are required to provide water to Kenyans from wherever we have it to where it is needed.
The Cabinet Secretary for Water and Environment and the Water Resources Management Authority are holding a two-day conference with governors seeking to resolve the water crisis. Sharon Momanyi, KTN.
The Big Q in association with Kenya Power.
Let's now look at our big question tonight, and we're asking, should police officers found unfit to serve receive a send-off package?
Indeed, there will be a vetting of police officers that will kick off mid-next month, and that is why we're asking you that question. Let's see what some of you are saying on social media, and of course, those of you are sending in SMSs. Omwalo says, no, how can you be rewarded when you fail the integrity test?
Another note here from Magot Kiprono says, have you ever been dismissed from your job then given a send-off?
Kira Drive says, does it mean now we will be paying them for being unfit or what? If they're unfit, go home empty-handed.
Yes, from Nick Kamenchu says, yes, they should be given a send-off to move on with their lives like the other citizens.
Well, those are your opinions. Keep sending them in and we'll keep sampling them during this bulletin.
Information right at your fingertips. Dial *551# Kenya Power.
All right, you're watching KTN Prime. Thank you so much for staying with us. We are taking a short break, but just ahead.
A walk down memory lane on our series Kenya at 15.
Kancha mara kwa mara wanafunga pikipiki zetu na nyororo, wanakukuta tu ghafla wanakufunga na wanaenda na pikipiki. Sasa wanakuja bila uniform, wanakuja tu ghafla. Sasa watu ndio tunataka watupee limit ya shilingi 250. Watatulipisha shilingi 600.